It's Monday, and you know what time it is. It's MUA Monday. You thought I was going to say Manicurist Monday, didn't you? I know. Especially for my audience who's been tuning in with me every Monday for Manicurist Monday. Well, this Monday, this episode, we are switching things up. That was dinner. We are switching things up this episode, and I'm super excited about it. So I'm going to set the stage a little bit before my guest comes on. You know how I do. I have to set the stage. So come on in. It's Monday. You know what time it is. It's not Manicurist Monday. It's MUA Monday time. So if you are tuning in for the first time, before I set the stage for today's episode, go ahead and share this live with a beauty professional that you know can benefit from this conversation. Yep. Makeup artists, hairstylists, manicurists, barbers, you name it. Go ahead and share this live with them. I am going to set the stage for the newbies that are here that have not had a chance to tune into Manicurist Monday. It's the first of the month. Let's not delay this any further. I am going to go ahead and I'm going to send the live to a couple of my beauty pro friends as well to get them here in the chat, get this conversation going. It's Monday. It's Q3. It's the first Monday of the new quarter and the new month, and I'm super excited. So let's go ahead and bring my guest on to the screen. Hello. Welcome. Go ahead and share this live with your beauty pro bestie. I have a hairstylist and makeup artist joining me on the conversation today. And ladies and gentlemen, you don't want to miss this conversation. Hello. Happy
Hello,
Monday.
how are you?
I'm doing well. What about yourself?
Hanging in there.
How
You
you
know what
feel?
I'm dealing with, so I'm hanging in there.
Yes, but how are you feeling otherwise?
Otherwise, I'm feeling good. Today has been eye-opening, to say the very least. It's like I got a restart for the year. And it's interesting because my oldest son said that to me this morning when we were working out. He said he felt like today was a restart for him. So it's something cooking, y'all. It's something cooking for sure.
Yes, I love to hear it. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you for making time in your busy schedule and life. I do not take that for granted at all. I am so grateful and so appreciative for you taking the time out to speak to my audience, to talk about your expertise, and to share your insight. When I met you at Premiere earlier last month, our conversation was brief, but I was like, I have to reach out to her. She is someone I would love to have on the show to have a further conversation about because I'm like, I didn't realize who I was talking to. I'm just
I'm a
saying.
regular
I'm gonna
person. Check it
I'm
out.
gonna toot your horn. I'm gonna toot your horn, okay? You can be modest if you want, but I'm gonna toot your horn. I was like, oh, that's why she was nominated. She's a big deal. So if you guys are just tuning in, welcome. I'm your host, Rain. Welcome to Manicurist Monday normally, but today it's MUA Monday, and I am here with my guest, Jalia Pettis, and I just want to take the time out to read her bio, to set the stage for you a little bit, to let you know who we have in front of you. And if there's a beauty professional that you know can benefit from community, go ahead and share this live with them. So Jalia Pettis is an Arizona-based makeup artist, hairstylist, and educator. Her passion and ability have been recognized with numerous accolades to include the NAHA finalist for Educator of the Year 2024, which is how I got introduced to her, the Denman Stage Star USA 2023, Global Image Award finalist 2023, NAHA Makeup Artist of the Year 2022, and the International Beauty Industry Award 2020 to 2021. Her work spans a variety of settings from film, television, and editorial to creative direction and business development. In addition, she has worked with a range of clients from internationally recognized brands to musicians, celebrities, athletes, and more. A truly multifaceted artist, Pettis excels in a broad spectrum of specialties, from clean beauty to men's grooming, natural hair, high octane glamour, and much more. As an educator, her goal is to equip others with the tools and self confidence to start their industry adventure. Ladies and gentlemen, I welcome Jalia Pettis to MUA Monday. Woo!
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. My camera keep moving. I don't know why I got it set up like that. So forgive me in advance because I move around a lot. But thank you for the introduction. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and set the stage and tell me, how did you even get into the beauty industry? Because on my show, there are people that are tuning in that are either enthusiasts, that are in beauty school, or recently just graduated. And sometimes people don't know how to find their way, or they don't know if this is the career path for them. So set the stage for us a little bit. Tell us how you got introduced to the beauty industry and how you got started.
I fell into the beauty industry by complete chance. I never wanted to do hair or makeup. That was never something that I was like, oh, I love this. I want to do this. And a lot of my apprehension with that came because I started in front of the camera. So fair skin, freckles, hazel eyes, long curly hair, but nobody knew how to do my makeup because they always wanted to cover up my freckles, or they would get frustrated with the amount of hair that I had. So they would want to just either put it in a ponytail or put it in a bun, which is my staple. So it was just by chance that I fell into the industry. I actually was first introduced into the industry when I lived in South Carolina. And I managed talent. And most of my talent were men and women of various skin tones and hair textures. And their number one complaint was, I can't find anybody to do my hair or makeup. And I was like, oh, don't worry about it. We'll figure it out. And that's literally how I fell into the beauty industry. I was doing the hair and the makeup and throwing glitter everywhere, gluing eyes shut, getting round brushes stuck in hair like my own. Like, I did all of the stuff wrong, which taught me how to do it right. But I also had, great mentors along the way that really took the time to sew into making sure that I understood what I was doing. And then along that path brought me into education, and I went back to school in my 30s, and I obtained my aesthetics license. And then several years later, I obtained my hairstyling license. So I am dually licensed. And I'm not one that just is all talk. Like, I got education as well as experience to back it all up.
Wow. So you came to the industry because there was a need. So you pretty much just jumped in there. And I hear these stories all the time about, people of various skin tones not being able to properly get, the services that they need, especially when they're in front of the camera. And believe
Right.
it or not, it's still an issue till this day,
Yep.
sadly, to hear. So you jumped in there and you decided to take it a step further and go to school. Why not? Why didn't you just recruit people to do it? What made you say, you know what, I'm going to do this myself? Because you could have opted that route as well, but you decided to jump in there and do it yourself.
To me, there was no need in recruiting people to do it when I was specifically being told I can't find anybody. So I can't find anybody could be a little bit of laziness, yes, of people just not searching, but I can't find anybody meant to me as the individual that's managing this person. figure it out. You need to figure it out so that this person feels comfortable. And that's what I did. And like I said, I did it wrong more times than not when I first started, but I knew that people trusted me, which meant I needed to figure it out.
Wow. So when you say managing, were you an agent,
Yes.
so to speak, for got it.
Yep.
Ooh,
I was
so
an
if
agent
you are
before it was
just
popular to be an agent. Yes.
okay. So if you are just tuning in, if you don't know who I am interviewing, I just want to set the stage for those that are just popping in. Welcome to another episode of Manicurist Monday, but we are MUA Monday today. And my guest, as she just stated, she came into the industry as an agent. So those of you who are on here as beauty professionals, and that has been something you have been aspiring, this is your chance and opportunity to ask questions. We will have a Q&A at the end of my questioning, so please drop your questions in the comment section because this is your time to get your questions in. I just had to let them know. So you were an agent and you noticed what was missing. And do you still do, or are you solely beauty? Do you manage clients right now?
I manage clients, but I manage clients in a very different capacity now. So beauty is one facet of what I do, but there are so many other skills that I acquired and cultivated before I even landed into beauty. Being in the beauty industry was a second career for me. I actually had a full-time job working in corporate America doing human resources management and with the emphasis in training and development and marketing. So when I say I got skills, it's not a game, okay? I mean, every bit of that. I normally call myself beauty and brains because I can see it from both sides. I see the creative aspect, but I also see the business aspect. But when I started my business, 3J Productions, it was mainly to manage talent. And when I moved away from that, I was like, okay, what's next for us in the business? We're growing, and the business is named after my 3 kids. So how can I create legacy for them to be involved? And it kind of just developed more from that aspect of managing talent to managing clients as far as like their brand, their image, their creative direction. And when they need different creatives, all different types of creatives, we're the individual that can kind of point you into the direction of where you can find those individuals. And most of the time, they are men and women of color, because I very much believe as an African American woman, it's important for us to create spaces for minorities. And so I'm not just doing that for other African American people. I'm doing that for Asian. I'm doing that for Native Americans. I'm doing that for Polynesians. I'm doing it for all people of color because I work with all people. When you look at my portfolio as a beauty professional, you're not going to just see one race of people. You're not going to just see one age. You're not going to just see one gender. Like I have gender fluid people in my portfolio. You can see it all. And I think that's important as somebody that is a beauty professional, regardless of what your discipline is. If you are calling yourself a professional, you need to be able to work on absolutely anybody that sits in your chair, period.
Yeah, I love that because oftentimes, those other groups, as far as the Asian community, Polynesian, they also have certain, things that they experience as it pertains to people being able to understand their skin type, matching hair, and just different things, and even understanding from a cultural standpoint
Right.
too, certain things, because a brand might be utilizing certain cultural references, but then they're not really honoring, that specific group's culture to its truest extent. So I love that you put an emphasis on even, gender fluid, because that's the world that we live in. And so you have to have the ability to showcase your ability to work on what the world represents.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Wow, I love that. So you started in HR and you infused all of your experience from the HR component, from what you observed from the agent aspects, and then you took that into your beauty business. What are some things that you notice with those backgrounds? Because you said beauty and brains, which I agree, having the HR component, you do see things in another standpoint. What are some things that you've noticed about the beauty industry that can be beneficial to someone that's listening to either live or the replay that you think is hurting the industry?
Oh, I it's interesting because I have something that's top of mind and I know it's going to rub people the wrong way. Um, and, and I hear it all the time. And that's basically individuals niching down. And I understand that. However, when you're somebody that has a lot of skills and a lot of really awesome skills, not saying that you're trying to do everything, but you understand what you're really, really good at, why not utilize all of those skills that you're really, really good at? That doesn't mean that you have to do everything, but if you know what you excel at, why not showcase those things versus just feeling like you only have to fit in one particular box all the time? And so I stand on that because you're not going to put me in a box. I do a lot of things and I do a lot of things very well, but I also know what I don't do well. You know, I'm realistic with myself with that. So if there are things that I know that I don't do well, there's no need in me doing it. There's no need in me doing it or even trying to do it. I know what I do well and I know what I don't do well. And I'm thankful that what I do well, I can really excel on. So I think one of those things that's missing is that people need to understand that as a beauty professional, you are entitled to change your mind. Just like an everyday person is entitled to change your mind. You might enjoy waxing for 5 years and then you get bored of that and say, you know what? I'm good with this, but I don't want to do this anymore. I want to get into lash extensions, or you might want to do something completely different. Maybe you don't want to do lash extensions and maybe now you want to do nails or you want to do clipper cuts. You can change your mind. That doesn't mean that you won't still be able to utilize that skill, but it does mean take the time to cultivate that other thing so that you can be just as good at that. So I think that's one of the things that I feel like people are just, I keep hearing it over and over and over again, niche down, niche down. And people try to do it to me all the time. Oh, I didn't know that you do this. I didn't know that you do that. Okay, well, that means you didn't take the time to read my bio or find out what my background is. And reading is fundamental. So that is not my fault. That is your fault. So please feel free to do whatever you feel like is going to best suit you for however long it is going to be a part of your journey.
You know why I love that? Because, and I, to share a personal story for me, I came into the beauty industry really young in high school, 16, as a manicurist. And I will say that I wish someone had told me how to diversify. Because I came in so young, I was working on my peers. So I didn't realize that there was only a particular service that I was able to do, which was acrylics and nail art. And then I went off to college. And when I was in college, now I'm in an environment where there's professional women, right? And so I needed to kind of step outside of, the regular long nails. And then what made me more interested in the professional women because they were better tippers and they were more consistent. So I was
Right.
like, I can't fool with my peers anymore. I really need to get into this professional life and servicing professional people. And then I realized, like, wow, I haven't done a manicure in forever. And I didn't give a good manicure. And that's the basic service in
Mm-hmm.
nail school. But because my peers, they weren't looking for that, I had niched down to something very particular. And when it was time for me to step outside of that, it was, obviously I did do some more training, but I realized I agree with what you're saying. I don't think people should solely focus on one thing because there will be times where you decide to pivot. And so it's important to just kind of have those things in your tool belt, so to
Yeah.
speak. So I agree with
Yeah.
that. Totally, I agree.
Yeah, it should be in your tool
Uh,
belt. And that doesn't mean that you have to necessarily do all of those things at once. Like for me, I love having the flexibility of having no one day being the same. Like one day maybe I'm on set and I'm only doing makeup. The next time I'm on set, I'm only doing hair. The next time I'm on set, I'm the creative director. But I created that for myself. If I just allowed people to just put one label on me and that's it, then I would be bored. And that's my own fault because I didn't take the time to cultivate my skills. But again, that doesn't mean that I'm always suggesting myself for every single job either. Like if I know that they're looking specifically for a makeup artist, okay, yes, I'm going to say I'm available to be your makeup artist. But in the future, if you need hair, wardrobe, I say I can refer somebody to those jobs. Because what's the purpose of me getting a job and I can't bring on somebody that I know is uber talented to be able to perform in that space as well? So it's not about me trying to get all of the jobs. It is about me getting my foot in the door, but I am always going to say, you know what? Well, I can recommend X, Y, and Z. And most of the time they appreciate that because they're like, okay, well, shoot, she knows some people. That means less work for us.
Well, and the reason why that's great too, especially on the on-set part, is because you really don't know what the model is going to come, what you're going to run into when you arrive. You kind of just get what you get when you get there.
Yeah.
And how do you set yourself apart is the ability and the knowledge to educate the client and everyone else on set, even if you're not in that capacity, right? You might be there as a hairstylist, but that makeup artist may need some pointers or may need something that you can assist them with because you have the experience in this other area. And so I wholeheartedly agree. Do not put yourself in the box because you just never know when those other elements will come into play for you.
Yeah. You never know when they're going to come into play. And then like there's times where, maybe they didn't have a budget for a wardrobe stylist and they needed somebody to make sure that the clothes were straight on set, and they didn't say that, but I just jumped in that role. Again, they're going to remember those type of things. I'll never forget there was a girl on set once before and they didn't book a nail person and she broke her nail. I keep a nail file, new nail polish, clear nail polish remover, and tips in my kit because you just never know. And sure enough, she broke that nail and we needed something else to stick on top of it. And I just happened to have tips that were the exact same color as the polish that she had on. But people remember that. They're like, dang, who would have thought that the makeup artist would have had da-da-da, or whatever the case may be. But it helps you in the long run, for sure.
I agree. I've had a makeup artist, doing my photo shoot, and she was like, I was like, oh, I didn't know you do hair. She's like, don't tell anyone, but I do dabble, right. And she did a phenomenal job. She was like, because then they start asking you to like do this part. She didn't want to do it, but she was like, I step in when I need to, but I don't advertise that. And that versatility will take you a long way, and it'll also set yourself apart because these directors, like you said, you never know. They're gonna say, you know what? Call Jalia. Remember what happened that day we were on set and she XYZ?
Yep.
And even when you said the part where they didn't have the budget, another thing, beauty professionals, if you are looking to venture out, what came to mind when Jalia said that was you have to think creatively, right? Like you need you're building your portfolio. So they may not have a budget for the wardrobe, but maybe you can have an ask for something, that could be beneficial to help you as well. Maybe you're trying to build your wardrobe styling and you need more clients in that element. Ask for the job and maybe that will open up a door to something else. You just never know.
Or ask to assist. You can assist other individuals. You don't always have to be the key person. Sometimes it's better to take a step back and just observe and assist other individuals in other capacities, whether it's hair, makeup, wardrobe, nails, barbering, or just a personal assistant on set. You don't always have to be the person that's in charge. Most of the time, you really don't want to be the person in charge because you're not ready for all of the responsibility that comes with that.
Can you say it louder for the people in the back, please? Listen, I tell people that all the time. Okay, being in the forefront looks great. Yes, it does. But I'm telling you, we are fine with being in the back too sometimes.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So for any of you that are just tuning in, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am here with my guest, Jalia. She has done phenomenal things from being an agent as well as being nominated from hair, makeup, you name it. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask your questions here in the comment section. My question for you, Jalia, is what would you say to manicurists? What do you notice that manicurists are missing on set? Because I find that, you know, you can be on set and there's for sure going to be a hairstylist, there's for sure going to be a makeup artist, but there's not always a manicurist or a nail technician on set. Why is that? And what can we do to change that?
So there are some at times, but one, it's dependent on the budget and it's dependent on the individual. Let's see. So the last project that I can remember that there was a manicurist on set, she was in and out, like real talk. She got the model ready. She was doing her nails while the talent was getting her hair done. And as soon as her nails was done, she was out. Like there was no need to sit on set all day and switch it up. I mean, if they wanted her to switch it up, I'm sure she could have done that. But like she literally got it done and got on through because she had other clients and she had celebrity clients that were calling on her throughout that day. So it's just a matter of, sometimes it depends on the project as well. Like if it is a project where you know that the model or the talent is going to be using their hands a lot, then yes, it's important for the nails to be done. And I look at commercials all the time and it was some kind of sports commercial and the guy put his hand on his face and I saw his dry cuticles and I about choked. I was like, bruh, why did y'all not have a budget for this man's nails? You picked that shot. Like, that's the shot that you chose. And he looking real ashy about the hands. So, you know, there's instances like that where if you know it's a beauty shot, you want to have a nail person just because a lot of times the beauty shot, the model likes to pose with her hands in the face. So that's something that's really important. Or you could, as a nail tech, or you could make press-ons in a variety of different styles and sell them to the hair or the makeup person. And that way, when they go on set, they have a part of you with them. So like you're getting credit for the nails, the quote unquote nails, but the hair or the makeup person is the person that's actually putting them on set. So connect with other hair and makeup artists, other wardrobe stylists, people of that nature, because that might be an easier bet. And then that way they could be like, oh my gosh, these nails were dope. How did you come up with these? And then that person, if that person is honest, I'm praying that they're honest, they can say your name and be like, you know what, such and such did these for me custom just for this job. I thought it would be a good fit. Maybe next time you have a shoot, you can reach out to them directly. It works.
So for my press on girlies, you know, a couple weeks ago, I had Chloe on who, that's what she does. She makes press ons. And so people were asking questions. So for the press on girlies, that is a great strategy to get your name out there and to build your brand and also pair up with other professionals. You know, it's mind blowing to me how I think that, you know, manicurists, hairstylists, like they don't maximize those relationships enough. Why do you think that is?
Fear. And a lot of that fear is coming from you think somebody is going to take your spot. But if you know that your work is good, if you know that you're professional, if you're operating with integrity, then nobody can take anything from you. It was just time for you to move on. So it's important that people understand everybody is not in competition with you. Everybody is not in competition with you. Like, really. Like, I wish people would stop being in mental competition with other people. Like, because they'll be looking at your page and they'll be like, okay, I see it, and won't even like it. But you didn't scroll through all of my stuff, bruh. Nosy. We in competition in your mind, not in my mind. So I think a lot of it has to do with fear. And sometimes it's just a matter of stepping outside of that and just introducing yourself, and you never know what might be on the other side.
Because it blows my mind how, especially a lot of beauty professionals, especially sometimes when they're new, they talk about how hard it is to build their clientele and to build relationships. And so I came into the industry pre-social media. So, we had good old business cards. We had street teams that walked around,
I
like those
still
things.
got business cards.
Me
Still got
too.
them. And
Me
had somebody
too.
ask me for one just yesterday. It is still very much, I'm giving it out.
It is still a thing. And it's mind blowing. And I say, why aren't you pairing up, with the barber? Why aren't you pairing, estheticians, why aren't you pairing up with the barber for the facial side, to enhance your services, or bringing an esthetician in? There's so many ways that the industry can really maximize the revenue stream, but they're not partnering up. And it just really, which is one of the reasons why I started this show, because I'm like, y'all are still struggling with the things I struggled with pre social media. That is absurd to me.
Yeah. A lot of it too, though, is sometimes people don't share the same work ethic. And a lot of times, yes, I have digital cards too on top of my cards for that comment that just came in. I love that. I use Blink. Um, but a lot of times people don't share the same work ethic. So again, it falls back on that fear. Like, you want to collaborate with people, but you're not sure, if they're coming to the table as serious as you are. And then if they are coming to the table as serious as you are they going to be doing some little slick stuff? Like, and it's upsetting. I feel like I've experienced that more on the beauty side of the industry than I did when I was in business. In business, like, people were backhanded, but like, it wasn't that in your face like that. They was a little bit more sneaky about it. Whereas in the beauty industry, man, like, a lot of these people that y'all following on social media, they be saying one thing and doing something completely different. Like, real talk. And that's why my numbers have stayed the way that they are for so long, because I keeps it very real on this side of the street.
Well, and
So,
we need that. We need that because, for so long, and you can tell me your thoughts on that. I feel like the beauty industry is kind of like there's elements of it that could be enhanced, but because of this mindset, things are just kind of like stagnant. Like, in terms of education with certain things and how people go about, for example, why isn't there a Paul Mitchell for the Black community? Like, why doesn't that exist in the nail aspect, similar to how the Asian community have been able to create these, like, there's just these elements that really bother me. And I think the only way we can get to the core of those things is to have real conversations. Like, we can't keep just kind of putting these generalized statements on these scenarios, being mean girls to one another within the industry. Like, we have to talk about it. Like, I
when
had
you
someone on a
say
couple
a
weeks,
Black Paul Mitchell, tell me what you mean.
meaning like a chain, right? Where Black people can go get their hair done no matter where they are. What
Okay.
we're seeing now is a lot of people are dealing with unprofessionalism within the hair industry, where a lot of stylists won't even wash their hair. And so people are like resorting to doing their own hair. And like, because they are just so tired of dealing. Now, there's parts of it I understand, right? And so I'm like, we need to have real conversations about the relationship dynamic between the customer and the client. What is the standard? Because I've had instances where people wanted professionalism, but then when you gave it to them, they didn't like it. And so I think there's a general conversation that needs to be had about expectations and then creating a standard for our community so that we can see more growth and less of this isolation, so to speak.
Well, it's definitely a lot of growth happening. So I'm thankful about that. Even with all of the deregulation that is occurring, there is still growth happening. There are tons of educators out here that you don't know about or have never heard of that are even more talented than these individuals with 20, 50, 100, a million followers. So it's important that you kind of really do your own research and not kind of bandwagon when it comes to educating yourself. I think that there's education that needs to be done, not just on the side of us as beauty professionals, but on the consumer side as well. You should be giving your consumers that come to see you tidbits every single time you see them. And that would be helpful. And it's not meaning like, oh, I don't want to give them any tips because I don't want them doing their own hair or their own nails or their own makeup. They're eager. They want to learn from you. That's why they're sitting in their chair. They're going to have questions. They're going to do it themselves anyway because we live in the digital space. So YouTube University is teaching folks how to do absolutely everything. So it's important that, you know, we continue to educate ourselves. We continue to educate one another as beauty partners, and then also continue to educate our consumers as well. You know, there's a lot of consumers that we're seeing that are jumping on the bandwagon of professional brands, but they're really owned by celebrities. Like, those celebrities ain't doing their own hair. They're not doing their own makeup. They're not doing their own nails. Like, they have people. So, you know, it's just another revenue stream for them, which is, you know, what they do. They're celebrities, but it really needs to fall back on the education of it all. So make sure that you're having conversations with one another. It's important to have conversations like this. It's important that we challenge one another in a constructive way. You know, it doesn't have to be dogmatic, in a constructive way. And we also need to make sure that we're educating our consumers at the same time. We have to be the standard that we want to see of excellence.
Absolutely. Oh, that's a really great point when you talk about the celebrities coming out with products and things of that nature, how they're not professionals in the industry. So, you know, that is something to keep in mind also. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yes, it
That's
is.
a whole nother conversation.
And I know we're seeing so much of that, but yes, it, you know.
Oh, so I'm going to read some of the comments here.
Okay.
If there was more consistency amongst professionals being professional, that would help change the standard. Education, definitely. Absolutely. And I think too, like, we have to educate the consumers because things like YouTube exist, right? We have to utilize a digital space to educate the consumer. And I would encourage, if there's anyone on here who sees it as the client will start doing it themselves. No, the client is going to utilize that to compare why you're better than the other person, because sometimes they're in another city and they cheat on you, and then they're like, oh, Jalia didn't use this on me. Like, and they pay attention to those things. And once you've educated them, they come back and tell you all the things that is happening out here in these streets. So, believe it or not, it allows you to gather intel.
Yeah. Yeah. Gather the intel, but also don't allow that to be a comparison in the sense of thinking that that person is your competition. Like, everybody's not your client, and that's okay. That's okay.
And that's okay.
Yep. It's really, everybody's not your client, and everybody doesn't have to stay with you forever and ever either. And that's okay too. Everybody is allowed to evolve, consumer and professional alike. Like, it's okay. It's a seasonal thing, and that is quite all right. It used to bother me at first. I'm like, oh my gosh, are they comparing me, Why are they no longer coming to me? It it's really okay. It's fine because you're not getting ready to compare me, and I'm not get like that would be like me saying, well, Dr. Such and Such, okay, well go see Dr. Such and Such. You know what I mean? If they do it so great, then that's the one that you should be seeing. So
Right.
yeah, yeah.
Wow. There's just so much, like, so what can we expect to see from you and some of the things that you're working on from, the multitude of experience that you have, the things that you've observed in the industry, the impact that you're making? What are some things that we can look forward to that you are brewing on your side of the world?
Um, let's see. Well, today's July 1st, so I just finished, literally just yesterday. I'd offered, um, every week I was doing free Zoom business training for like segmented for 30 minutes. So, and it didn't have anything to do with the beauty industry. It was literally just business related. So there's free education out here. Like I said, you just have to take the time to really kind of find out what's out there and what's kind of pulling on you. So I just did that. I also just wrapped a project for an advertising firm. That was yesterday too. I just recently did some creative direction for a summer campaign that will be coming out probably right after 4th of July. I think that's the go live date. So I'm excited about that because it'll be some photo and video content that I produced and as well as creative directed. So I got a lot of irons in the fire for July. I'm based in Arizona, so we're going to be getting, the WNBA All-Star game. So I'm planning on, being busy for that. I'll probably have like a few, people that I'll have to get glammed up during that time. But, I'm just going to keep plugging like I always do. Like I said, for me, I've kind of created what I want this act in life to look like, and I like that it's no one day is the same. So I'm just open to more opportunities and more blessings and more favor. Whatever God has for me, I'm walking through the door.
I love it. I love it. And so tell us a little bit more about your team and, 3J Productions, what everything that you offer for anyone that's tuning in that may be on, I won't even say your side of the world because I met you in Florida. So, again, not putting you in a box. So for someone tuning in who may cross paths with you, tell them more about your company and the things that you are out here doing in the industry.
So 3J Productions is a creative conglomerate. So whatever type of creative entrepreneur you might be, we help you with bringing whatever that ideas that you have into fruition to life. So think of it in terms of like when you open up a magazine and you look at a photo advertisement. What 3J Productions does is we bring everything on the back end to what you see when you're looking at that finished result. So that's the best way that I can kind of sum it up. And that could be, you as an individual solopreneur, whether you're a chef or a barber, whatever you're doing in your creative space. Or that could be you and your business as a whole, whether you have a product or whether you have a team. If you're in a salon type of setting, we work on really kind of just building an initiative around whatever your current marketing strategy is. And some people don't have a marketing strategy. So we also help you with that because branding and marketing are not the same thing. Those are two completely different things.
Do you hear that,
so
ladies
it's
and
about really
gentlemen?
understanding your business.
Do you hear that? Branding and marketing is not the same thing. That's a whole nother conversation for another day,
Yes.
but it's not the same thing. So would you say, is that what prompted you to do the business classes? Is that, were you seeing something missing? Is there a connection there between what you do for your clients and you offering those classes, the 30-minute complimentary?
I think the reason that because I was initially going to do it just for beauty professionals. And what I was noticing when I was going to the trade shows was most of my business classes were the classes that were packed out. It wasn't the classes where I was talking, well, I mean, kind of, thank the Lord. But like I normally at the shows do business classes, and then I'll do like makeup related classes. Sometimes I'll kind of fuse things together and it'll be hair and makeup. At Orlando, I did a whole lot of stuff. It was every day it was something different. You know, I had makeup classes. I had a hands-on workshop. I had the makeup competition. I produced a segment of the show for NAHA through the Beauty Association, Professional Beauty Association. Like I literally had so many different things happening. But I was prompted to do that because I feel like as creative entrepreneurs, we want to just create all the time. And we forget about the business side of things. And that's just because that's how our mind kind of works sometimes. So that was what prompted me doing those classes in June. So yeah, we'll see if we continue to do it, but I'm not sure what my schedule is going to be looking like for the rest of the year. As it stands right now, I'm only on the fence to do one more trade show. And that's just because I have other irons in the fire. But yeah, when you come to my class at one of the trade shows, you getting more than what you bargained for sure.
I love it. So we have a comment that says, I definitely need a marketing strategy or don't have much business acumen. What would you say to that comment, that someone who obviously, you know, there is free education out there. You've already indicated that there needs to be, I'm in Florida. The fireworks are starting already.
For
So
4th of
excuse that
July?
loud boom. Yes,
Oh,
already.
wow.
Yes. Florida is, they don't need a reason.
It's
And when they get one,
Monday.
it starts early.
I
I'm
didn't
like,
hear
wow,
it.
that scared me. They don't need a reason. They do not need a reason. Hence why Florida is always in the news for something. But I digress. So what would you say? We know that there's free things out there, and being more diligent
Mhm.
in doing more research to find the things that are out there, right? So putting more time and attention. But what else could you say to someone who is aware that, you know, perhaps they need to work on their business acumen, and they know that they need the branding and the marketing? Maybe, I don't know if this is the case for you, to the person that commented, but maybe they need a slow start before they're ready to like fully invest into a marketing strategy, so to speak. What would you say to someone in that?
I would say make a list. Like literally take a piece of paper and a pen and just write out a list of what you feel like you have complete understanding and grasp of. And then on the other side, what you feel like you are completely lacking or do not understand. And then of that list that is completely lacking and do not understand, circle the top three, like rank them 1, 2, 3 as to what you feel like you know you really, really need to work on, that you feel like is kind of maybe holding you back a little bit. Because anybody that you reach out to asking for assistance in some capacity, whether it be as a class, a one-on-one, a consultation, whatever the case may be, they're going to ask you a group of questions and you need to already have answers to those. So that would be my number one suggestion. And then within that, like, what are you willing to do time wise, money wise, to make sure that you get an understanding of that 1, 2, and 3, and be realistic with yourself, because maybe some of that is not going to happen in 30 days. Maybe it's going to take 30 months. You know what I mean? So be very realistic with yourself, and then also be realistic with what you can invest in making that happen. because maybe it's not something that you can put all of your money into immediately. Maybe it's something that you need to kind of save up to get what it is that you feel like you might need. And I know too, a lot of times people are afraid to ask about that money side of it. But it's if you're going to somebody for any type of consulting or coaching, you have to understand if that's a facet of their business, they're going to need to understand that you're going to need to understand that that's a facet of their business, so that that's something that they do for a fee. So just be realistic with yourself in that, and then also give yourself grace. Because if you don't give yourself grace, you're not going to get an understanding as to how all of this is going to go. Something might come up. You might have a flat tire, and the money that you planned on spending to invest in that coach, now you got to put it towards getting your tire fixed because you wasn't planning for that tire to pop. So, it's a little bit of frustration that comes with that. But again, when you give yourself grace, then you know what? I set this as a goal. I know it might take up to this time for me to reach it, and be okay with that.
I love that so much. And I'll share a personal story to add to that. When I first hired my coach, and it was because she has a program called Sister Biz. I don't know if anyone has ever heard of Sister Biz, because they do things out in Arizona too. Gold Digger. She does a retreat out in Phoenix, Scottsdale, Arizona.
Okay.
And I remember her doing a boot camp, and the light switch went off for me, because I had unrealistic expectations as to how long certain things took in terms of creating the plan, executing the plan, making sure the different elements of the plan are in place, your systems, and then checking it and then testing it and then going back and tweaking it, having someone review. I was like, I gotta do all that? That's why
Yeah.
I'm frustrated. That's why certain things don't get done, or why those things don't happen. And so I love that you said that, in addition to giving grace, because once that switch went off, and that's not even including, like you said, the flat tires and the things that life will throw at you that we don't plan for. And you really have to give yourself grace through it all, literally, because there's no way to learn, honestly, if you are so hard on yourself and you're not allowing yourself the opportunity to learn from whatever the experience is calling you to learn in that moment.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's an experience. And um, I did a video with some of the other finalists for Educator of the Year earlier this year. And one of the questions that was asked of me was similar to that. And I want to just say, kind of pointing it out, who told you that being an entrepreneur was easy? Like, it's not easy, bruh. What are we? This is not easy at all. Everybody is not meant to be an entrepreneur. And guess what? For the ones that's not meant to be an entrepreneur, that's okay. If you want to punch somebody else's clock, cool. Do your thing. Because being an entrepreneur is not easy. It's not going to happen overnight unless, somebody just rained down $100 bills in your backyard. But still, like, you can lose that money just as fast as you get it. So understand that it is not easy. When it comes to anything that you are passionate about, you are going to be tested. So just be ready to go through the test, okay? Because on the other side of the test is a testimony, for sure.
Did y'all see my face the entire time when she said that? Okay. Sometimes I'm just like, well, I wish entrepreneurship didn't choose me. Okay. I wish it didn't choose me, because it is not. And I cannot emphasize what she said anymore. I do want to ask this other question. Candy's Creation LLC says, I would like to know the difference between branding and marketing. So for those that are tuning in, if you want to go ahead and share what those differences are.
Okay, so the best way that I can describe it is marketing is the how, and branding is the who. Those are two different things. So your marketing is how you're going to get there, how you're going to put it out there, how you're going to promote and get the customer. Whereas the branding is the who. What does that who look like? Who is it attracting? What is that emotional connection there? So they are very different. They work together. They're kind of like eyebrows. They're sisters, not twins. So yeah, that's the best way I can sum it up.
That is fun. That is really straightforward. And
Yeah,
like you said, they work together, and they're sisters. They're not twins. Like, that's so perfectly said. So
yeah.
perfectly said. The light bulb has been lit. Thank you.
Oh, I love
I
that. I love
love
that. We
it.
are not talking about makeup at all. I just thought about that. This has nothing to this live has had nothing to do with makeup whatsoever. I am so sorry if you came here for makeup, because when we start talking about business, I just get off on a tangent. I'm sorry.
No, well, going back to what you shared about your classes, what you notice, right, is that yes, you do have a pack class for the application part, but it's mainly the business side. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think that our industry struggles with the business side, which goes back to what you were saying earlier, because there's a love for the creativity aspect more than there is for the logistics of the business.
Yeah. There
So
is, and there's also, for whatever reason, on the business side, everybody is selling that you can make $100,000 in like 6 months. I I don't know who put that out there. I'm not really sure where that came from. But like there are so many get rich quick. Yeah, all you have to do is this, and then buy my digital such and such, and you'll be a six-figure earner. What? Why are we telling people this? Because
you know
no,
what's
it don't work like that. I'm sorry. It just
and
don't.
know, and there's two things I'd like to say to that. What happens is those people understand that a lot of people don't want to do the work. And I hate to say it, when they take advantage of people is because they know that people want the easy way out, the process out. And what business has taught me is going through really is the best way to gain clarity, because when you hire professionals to do certain things, they're asking you, what do you want, based on what your vision is. And so oftentimes people's frustration come because they don't really know how to communicate what they want. And then you have someone out here trying to tell you what you want. And
Right.
then you don't get what you want. And now you've spent money, you're frustrated, and you feel taken advantage of. And then you come across the people that can help you. And now you're reluctant because, the scammers got to you first. And
Yeah.
so you can't skip the process. Enjoy, like, fall in love with learning. Fall in love with, like, there are things that I did not know I needed to know, that I didn't want to know, that I appreciate I know now.
Yeah.
It's
And
like,
I mean, a lot of it too for beauty professionals, people feel like they have to also quote unquote produce content. Some people are behind the chair for a reason because they don't want to show their face. Some people love it, but some people don't. That's just not their thing. They rather focus on making their clients feel beautiful, which is totally fine. But like, we keep hearing that as well. It's not a this being a part of this space is not one size fits all. You truly have to create it based on what feels authentic to you.
yeah. Well, and the authenticity is the fact that people don't know that you can still build outside of socials, which goes back to what you said earlier. There are some heavy hitters out there who may not even have 5,000 followers, and you just don't know who they are, you know? Like, like, that's why when I kicked this show off, there are so many texts that I knew just from going to Premiere who do not have a following, but I'm like, you've been out here doing your thing for the last 2 decades.
Yeah.
And I'm like, y'all need to know who, and this is again why I created this space, because it's like, y'all need to know who the people are in the industry and who are making the impact and that are moving the needle and the conversation forward in the industry.
Yeah. It's important. It is. It really is important. And you can't get caught up in the numbers game. You can't get caught up in that blue check. You just can't. You can't. If you do, you're gonna be stuck chasing after that and the fallacy that comes with it. So it's important to really kind of just do your research when it comes to the people that are pouring into you. You know what I mean? That's really important. You know, you want to make sure that it makes sense for where you are in your particular journey. So, yeah, social media, man,
Yeah,
that's a whole nother
yeah.
topic too in
That's
itself.
a whole another topic. Well, we are at the hour mark, and I always ask my guests, I want to be respectful for your time. Do we have
We've
time
been
for a
on
couple more
here an hour.
questions? Yes, we have.
I did not realize that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, we can take some questions. I did not realize that it's been an hour. Dang.
I
Wow.
love
Okay.
that. I love that because that's me like, because I can talk. I'm like, girl, I got more questions. So I'm like, so I always check in because I know your schedule is busy and I like to be mindful. So I'm like, because I will keep the questions rolling. Okay. So for those of you that are tuning in or just tuning in, welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm your host, Rain, and I am here with Jalia, beauty professional, educator, salon owner, and more. If you
No,
have
I
any
don't have a
questions,
salon.
no,
No,
no salon.
no, nope. I'm freelance because I'm always on set. I do not have a salon. Nope.
So tell us, did you have a salon before or?
I had a salon suite. I did, but I was never in there because I'm always on the road. So I was like paying for something that I was not really utilizing. So, I mean, I do have personal clients, a few personal clients, and when I have them, I either take them from my home studio or I'll come to them. And they like that because they feel like they get a luxury experience because everybody don't get an invite to the crib. Just
Right,
saying.
right. So if y'all have any questions, go ahead and drop your questions in the comment section. This is your time and opportunity. We have a couple more minutes. If you are in the beauty industry, this is your opportunity to ask your questions. I'm going to ask my questions in the meantime while some of you are typing away. Um, you know, did you ever want a salon? What made you opt for just going the suite route? Or did you know off the bat, like you didn't want to do a salon? And the reason I'm asking this question, because some people don't realize the different ways they can go in the beauty industry. When I first came in, no one told me about editorial work. Again, I was so young. Things were a little bit different. And so there are still people to this day who don't know the different arenas and avenues that they can work in, and they may think salon is the only way. What would you say to that, and also share why you opted to not go the salon route?
So I've done everything, if I'm honest. And I've done it all, and I'm glad that I've done it all because I can speak to each of those experiences. So when I graduated from aesthetic school initially, I went into a salon. And then eventually I managed the salon. And then I got out of that space and I went into a suite. And then I was always on the go. There was no need for me to be in the suite. So I got out of the suite. And then I've been freelance the whole journey. But sometimes there's one-off situations where I might need to be in a salon space. So I will rent that space out for the hours or for the day that I need it. But I think it's important for beauty professionals that are coming out of school to not be in a hurry to be an entrepreneur. It's really, really important that you go into a salon environment where you can kind of just have all of these different experiences so that it can teach you what you don't want to experience, you know? And for me, like I said, when I first went into aesthetic school and I graduated, I'll never forget when I entered that first salon experience. I went into the aesthetics room because it was a salon. It was a salon that was basically full service. And I remember this esthetician that was in there was somebody that had been in the industry for over 25 years. And she was like, look around, look at my drawers and everything. And I opened up her drawers, and I will never forget, I saw a big razor in there. And I was like, I wonder what she got a big razor for. So I just asked her, I was like, what is this for? And she was like, oh, that's what I use for dermaplaning. And I was like, I'm sorry.
You said it was for what?
For dermaplaning. And I almost passed out because I'm like, baby Jalia, if I would have been like in my early 20s, fresh out of beauty school, I would have been like, oh my gosh, like I'd have been so naive, like, oh, I can cheat the system. Basically, she's shaving people's face. She was shaving people's face with a razor instead of using the surgical blade, which is what you're supposed to use as an esthetician when you're performing a dermaplaning service. And that just blew my mind. I was like, this woman has been in the industry all these years, and she cutting corners, and people are paying her for a service, and it just blew my mind. It blew my mind. So I'm thankful for all of the different experiences because it really showed me what I didn't like and what I do like and where I want to go. But I needed all of those to be able to help me kind of make those decisions. Like I said, I was freelancing the entire time because when I first entered the industry, I was working primarily as a makeup artist, and I didn't need a license. But when I relocated from South Carolina to Arizona, that was something that was required. I had to have my esthetician license, and then shortly after they deregulated, but that's a whole different story. So I've been in the industry now about 17 years. And it's been all kinds of hills and valleys, but I'm thankful for it because, like I said, I went from makeup artistry to an esthetician to having my dual licensure as a hairstylist, and now as a session stylist, I primarily work in those spaces where it's film, television, editorial, and that's a lot of what I do.
Wow. And I love that you brought that up because I go to the beauty schools and do presentations, and the amount of students that are like, I always do a poll and I ask, how many of you plan on working in a salon when you graduate? How many of you would like to start your own? And usually more than half of the room is like, I want to start my own. And I always discourage them from that. And I'm like, call me negative Nancy, but I think you need the experience. I'm like, create at least a timeline. Give yourself a year,
Yeah.
But I'm like, you don't know anything. And I'm like, do we make running a business look that easy? That everyone just wants to just go out there and start their own? Like, it's mind
I don't
blowing.
know who created that fallacy. I really don't. But yeah, I encourage, newbies and even people that are transitioning to assist. You can't get to a place where you feel like you know it all. You still have to be a lifelong learner. You really truly can't get to a place where you know it all. But I'm very confident that I'm hoping anyway that we can continue to encourage those individuals that are coming out of beauty school to continue their education, to go into even retail spaces like Ulta and Sephora and things of that nature. It's just really important because it teaches you all different sides of what you're doing, not just being behind the chair. It really teaches you how to have customer service experiences. You can learn customer service experiences just by watching another stylist and how they interact with their fellow coworkers. Interpersonal skills, leadership, it's bigger than just having your own business.
Right, right. I love the internship that we did back in the day before moving into the chair. Did you
Yeah.
Sandy's creation, where'd you do the internship? Because I rarely see internships and I will say it does vary. Some states are better than others. Florida is not on the good list of that. So what are your thoughts on the deregulation because I think, I hate to see it happening, but I think that we could still set a bar. It's going to take intentionality for the professionals, but I think we can still make being a professional a standard. And it's just how we do it. So I'd love to hear your thoughts on that and perspective.
I think it's important too for the deregulation that's happening. People are looking at this from the standpoint of a bottom line. They're trying to figure out what they can do to make the most money. They're not thinking about the fact that this is a trade. They're not thinking about the fact that, some people necessarily don't want to go to college, and this is an opportunity for them to do something else. They're thinking like, okay, the beauty industry we know garners this amount of money because all of these people are running out to buy all of these products all the time. What can we do to just make a quick dollar and take away the fact that you need to have all of this understanding of X, Y, and Z? So it's important that you really understand that basis. I know for us here in Arizona, when they were shutting everything down during COVID, one of the last kind of jobs or roles that was shut down was the beauty side, which don't make no sense because we be in everybody's faces, just like physicians. But our governor at the time, his wife owned a beauty a beauty salon. So he's thinking about his coin. So they're not thinking about us and our health and our education or our licenses. They're looking at this from a bottom line dollar sign perspective.
But it's so scary because when I think about the liability, right? And in some states, even the basic education that they're deregulating from wasn't even enough because some people came out of school still feeling like I don't know how to navigate.
Yes.
Depending upon what kind of instructor you may have had. And so it's like you have the nerve to deregulate this even more is mind blowing to me. And so it's really it's really sad to see. And I'm just curious as to what other things it's going to impact.
I think we're going to see more impact for a little while now, especially with I hate to get into the political side of things, but with what we're seeing happening in politics. So and then also too, with what we're seeing with AI, we have to have more skills other than just beauty. We do. That's where we are now. We have to have other skills that are transferable in other areas. So when, for anybody that's been watching from the very beginning, that's why I do so many things and do so many things well, because I need to be able to flip on the dime. So it's important that you continue to just keep your ear to the ground, pay attention to what's happening in the world, watch the news. And I'm not talking about Instagram and TMZ, like pay attention to what's happening, really educate yourself from, the socioeconomic standpoint as well.
What does that look like to someone that may not be as versed as, you and I, and, and in speaking in front of the camera? And so having a diversified portfolio may be hard for them. What are some things that they may want to look into that could help them? Because to your point, the changes are here.
Well, one program that I think doesn't get enough recognition is during COVID, Cornell University came out with some programming that they were offering free education. Mm-hmm. Cornell University is a top-rated school, and there are tons of classes that you can take that are either free or very, very nominal. HubSpot has an academy. They have all kinds of different education that you can take on the business side. So it's just about taking the time to really kind of do some research. You just can't rely on everything that that's on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok. Like you really have to kind of just pour into yourself a little bit more. It has to be, you got to do more than just the surface level stuff. So figure out what you like, and then based on what you like, that's how you'll know what kind of skills you want to cultivate for yourself outside of what you're already doing.
I love that. And that's so, so, so true, because oftentimes people think their interests don't have a bridge together, and they do. Like for me, when I went to college, my minor was journalism. And so I was like, why aren't there more, I'm like, on the red carpet, why aren't there more people talking about, they'll talk about the hair, they might talk about the makeup, but I'm like, they don't really talk about nails really. And I was like, there's a journalistic component that's missing in the industry. So I'm like, I like to ask questions because I'm genuinely inquisitive about these things. And I'm going to start Manicurist Monday and start these things. And so to add to what Jalia is saying, what are the things that you have an interest in that you can bridge those things together that can diversify yourself as well? Because the changes are here.
Yeah, definitely.
Any last, how are we on time? I got 2 more minutes, 3 more minutes.
You got 2 or 3 more minutes. Yeah, 2 or 3 more minutes.
Okay. So, 2-part question is, what advice do you have to someone that is watching either live or the replay that is a beauty professional, anything that comes to mind that you would like to share with them to help them in their career, whether they're a novice or something that someone can implement? And then what advice do you have for me because of the journalistic interest that I have to grow this furthermore? And those are my last 2 questions for today.
Okay, so I'll go with for you first. So with you, I feel like you're already doing that. And you are doing it from the standpoint of opening up this dialogue. So I definitely see a podcast coming. I definitely see you being a beauty contributor to other different publications that might just need a voice from a manicurist point of view. I think there are opportunities out there for you. You're just going to have to seek them out and say, you know what? This is what I've already been doing. This is what my engagement looks like, because they are going to ask for your numbers. This is what my engagement looks like, and this is what my plan is for the next 6 months. That way they know, oh, okay, she already doing it, so we don't have to give her anything to make it happen. This is what her plan is for this next 6 months. How can we sponsor her? How can we have her come to these events and set up a little booth and have her talking from this perspective? You need to be reaching out to all of these different nail people, Nail Pro, my homegirl at Maxis Nails, Dasha, shout out to Dasha. She is a very, very, very intelligent young woman. And I love tooting her horn because people don't understand that she got a business brain that is just out cold. But she's also a manicurist. So, and she has a product line as well. So I think you need to connect with people that are like-minded, for sure. For sure. But you on your way. It's just July 1st. We got 6 more months for you to make it happen.
So I just want to say I appreciate that advice so much, and you talking to me. And this was my first time going and getting a press pass from me creating this show. What I did was submitted things that I had been doing. So it's kind of like a proud moment. And so like the fact that you were willing to talk to me and that you have done all the things that you have done, like I'm so appreciative. That's why I was like, I got to ask her what tips she got from me.
I love that. Yeah. You are very well on your way. I'm excited to see what you're going to be doing next. Yeah, this is going to evolve. Manicurist Monday, Makeup Monday, that's cool for right now, but this will very, very soon evolve. So just make sure you got all your ducks in a row, because it's going to happen very quickly and you need to be prepared.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And the last one.
The last question. So the advice that I would give is kind of 2-part. One is to do it scared. Do it scared. Yes, it's going to be a lot of fear attached to it. But on the other side of that fear is an enormous reward when you put your faith in just putting one foot in front of the other. And I say two part because the other part of that is stop telling everybody your moves before you make them. Keep some stuff to yourself and just make things happen. And then as you start excelling and knocking things off the list, then you can start sharing some of your accomplishments. A lot of times when I'm posting things on my social media about encouragement, I'm not really doing that to encourage other people. Sometimes just need to encourage myself. And I just need to verbally put it out to the world like, yep, you saying to the world, I can do this. Get out there and get it done. So I think those would be the bits of advice that I would give.
I love it. And to add to that, that's why I asked her this question, y'all, is because people see me on here and they think that, oh, I have all this thing figured out. And this is literally me doing it scared, me figuring it out. And so when I share these things, it's from a real place and an authentic place. And so I'm learning every day. So I don't take it for granted. Yes, I bring people on for y'all, but I bring them on for me too.
Yeah. I'm not even gonna front. I know every time I see you doing like this, you taking notes. I ain't crazy. Oh, yeah. I know what that looks like. I know what that looks like. That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Listen, I do not take those expertise for granted at all. You know, when you see someone making the moves that you made, and I watched you, and I'm like, and so that's why I'm like, man, and she was willing to talk to me. I don't sleep on that at all, and I don't take that for granted at all. And the gratitude and appreciation that I feel after knowing, like, I didn't know who you were to that magnitude until after. So I just want to say thank you so much for being authentically you, and meeting you for the first time was just so real. And it's a pleasure and honor. And I truly look forward to what we'll do individually and collectively, because I'm sliding in your DMs, okay? I'm in your DMs.
Okay. Thank you so much for having me.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Helpful to somebody.
Yes, there you have it. Did I freeze?
No, you still there?
Oh, okay. I'm like, did you okay, were you saying something?
No, I was just saying thank you for having me, and I hope it was helpful to the people that were watching.
Oh, absolutely. I know it. Listen, it was helpful to me. If it wasn't helpful to nobody else. And for those of that are watching the replay, or if you missed the beginning, I save all of the lives so you can go back and watch the replay, go back and take notes and see what you missed. And also, if there's anything you can benefit from that Jalia is offering, definitely click the link in her bio, go to her website, and let's step the beauty industry up, ladies and gentlemen. From the barbering, I see I have some barbers in the room, you know, to hairstylists, estheticians, manicurists. Like, let's enhance the industry. This is why we're having this conversation, and I thank all of you for tuning in. And Jalia, thank you so much, Queen.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You see those cards?
Oh, I didn't know you could do that. That's cute.
I was on live one day and I did that to someone, and I was like, oh, this is new. So sometimes it's trifling and it doesn't do it, but you know, you got the initial heart.
It's around to be something else, so I'm just gonna, maybe it'll give some thumbs up if I do that a couple of times. Thank you again. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Bye.
Bye.